welcome to the deep dive. So, today we are going to take, well, a sledgehammer, really, to one of the biggest myths in high performance and personal control.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you've been taught about managing your life, your career, your relationships, that you need to grip tighter, worry more, micromanage everything. It's absolutely backwards.
It really is.
We're here to explore this paradoxical truth.
Mm-hmm.
The harder you try to control something, the more anxiety you get, and the more it just slips right through your fingers.
It's sort of the essential contradiction of modern life, isn't it? I mean, our source material makes it so clear that the very act of holding on is what's keeping most people stuck. Stress.
And just struggling all the time.
Yeah, perpetually struggling. Most of us, we just exhaust ourselves fighting these battles we can never, ever win, whether that's trying to control our own thoughts or
Someone else's reaction to something you said.
exactly, or the specific outcome of a huge project. It's just an unsustainable energy drain.
And, okay, to be very clear here, we are not talking about indifference or passivity.
No, not at all.
That's why we call it strategic detachment. So our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack why the most successful people, those folks operating at the highest levels, have mastered this skill.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to explore how releasing that death grip on outcomes paradoxically gives you this unshakable inner strength and, actual control over your reality.
Right. It's about redirecting your energy toward what you can actually influence. We're essentially going to audit your mental balance sheet and show you where you're wasting massive amounts of energy on things that were never yours to manage in the first place.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's start right where the struggle begins, the grip of control. I want you to think about your average morning.
Okay.
When you wake up, your mental to-do list, it doesn't just have normal tasks on it, like send that report. It often includes these impossible things, like control the traffic so I'm on time.
Right, or control my boss's mood so the meeting goes well.
Yes. Or even control how my partner feels about that argument we had last week.
That internal list is a perfect summary of what we call the illusion of control. We think we're in charge, but what we're actually doing is building this elaborate mental scaffolding of expectations that just slowly drives us toward anxiety.
It's a brutal truth, isn't it? That every moment you spend managing the unmanageable.
Everything outside the boundary of your own mind and your own actions
Is a moment that's just stolen from where your real power actually is.
Exactly.
But if we're so determined to control things, what is it we're trying to prevent? And why does the attempt cause so much suffering?
We are trying to prevent reality from being inconvenient. I mean, that's really it. The source of psychological suffering, it isn't the inconvenient thing that happens, it's the gap. The huge gap between what was happening and what you thought should be happening.
It's the friction.
It's the friction. It's reality refusing to conform to your internal script. And the more you demand conforms to your will, the more suffering you generate in that gap.
Which brings us to this idea of the energy paradox. This really challenges that whole hustle culture mindset.
Yeah.
We're taught to push and strive and force outcomes.
But the material shows that this desperate kind of control, it actually backfires because of the energy it carries.
What do you mean by that?
Well, our desperate attempts to control things are fueled by fear and scarcity.
Yeah.
This underlying belief that if we don't force it, it won't happen.
Or that we won't be okay if it fails.
Precisely. And that energy is inherently, well, the sources call it repulsive. It doesn't just make you miserable. It actively repels the outcomes you want.
Can you make that more concrete? I mean, how does that actually show up in a professional context for someone listening?
Okay, sure. Think about a high-stakes negotiation or a crucial pitch. If you walk into that meeting from a place of desperate, fearful control, you need this deal to close to feel good about yourself or to fix a money problem. That energy just broadcasts weakness. You're so focused on preventing a loss that you can't listen, you can't adapt. Your rigidity signals scarcity, and the other person, they resist, they doubt you.
So the opposite of that would be someone who's detached from the outcome.
Exactly. Detached from the need for the outcome, but totally committed to the process of delivering value. That person projects confidence, abundance, and that is far, far more attractive.
That makes perfect sense. So if external control is the illusion, then we have to fundamentally redefine what power even is. The core truth, then, is that real control is internal. It's about governing your responses, not dictating circumstances, mastering your mind, not micromanaging the world.
And this is the foundation of what we can call true security. Most of us chase false security. We build our foundation on things that are, by nature, unstable.
Like money. a specific job title.
Perfect relationships, guaranteed health, all of it. External security is always temporary. It's fragile. It depends on factors way outside your control. You basically become a slave to circumstances.
And the more we depend on those things, the more fiercely we try to grip them. And often that destroys the very thing we're trying to hold on to.
Yes, that's the classic example. If you base your security on holding on to a partner, you become suffocating, possessive, and you just push them away. You trade happiness for this fleeting sense of certainty.
That sounds like the classic high performer trap.
It is. You achieve external success through control, only to find out that the success itself requires this constant, exhausting effort just to maintain it.
Okay, so let's contrast that. What is true security and how is it built?
True security is built on your own inner strength. It comes from an unshakable trust in your own ability to adapt to any environment and just figure out whatever problems come up.
So it's not about preventing hardship.
Not at all. It's the quiet confidence that you can navigate it. It's built on resilience, adaptability, and an inner strength that paradoxically gets stronger through challenges, not by avoiding them.
But learning that kind of security, that feels like a long, hard road.
It begins with a single step. Radical acceptance. The liberation is in acknowledging the brutal, universal facts. Life isn't fair. It isn't controllable. And uncertainty is the only certainty.
So once you stop wasting energy on that?
Once you stop expecting life to follow your script, you stop being devastated when it inevitably throws you a plot twist. And that acceptance isn't resignation. It's energy conservation.
Okay, so let's talk mechanics. How do we start implementing this? I really like the analogy from the sources about the weight of attachment.
The backpack filled with rocks.
Yeah, that one. Tell us about it.
Visualize that. Every single attachment you have, every outcome you insist on, every expectation of how a person should behave, every specific result you feel like you need is a rock that you're adding to that pack.
And you're trying to run the marathon of life carrying this huge self-imposed load.
And that crushing weight, it just limits your adaptability, your clarity.
We need to distinguish the language here, though. What is the difference between genuine care and this damaging idea of attachment?
Oh, this distinction is everything. Attachment is not love. It's not deep caring. It's defined as the desperate need for things to be different than they currently are.
A need that's rooted in insecurity.
Totally. It's egoic. Caring means you wish well, you act constructively. Attachment means your internal state, your peace, your happiness is conditional on an external thing happening exactly the way you planned.
And that need clouds your judgment. You're committed to what you want to see, not what's actually in front of you.
Exactly. If you're pitching a product you desperately need to sell, you just filter out the data that suggests a fatal flaw. You get rigid, defensive, you miss critical signals because you're attached to the idea of being right instead of being effective.
So non-attachment is the solution.
Yeah.
It's caring without clinging.
The image we should hold in our minds is holding a bird gently. You are present, you're supportive, you're dedicated to its flourishing, but you are not controlling its flight path.
If you grip too tight, it dies.
It dies. If you release it, it thrives, and it might choose to stay. You have to hold your goals, your plans, even your loved ones with that gentle, present balance. You cannot force thriving.
This brings us to a word that makes high achievers a little nervous, and that word is surrender.
Sounds like giving up.
It sounds like giving up the competitive edge. If I surrender, I stop trying.
And that is the crucial mental block we have to get over. Strategic surrender is not defeat. It's giving in to what is. It's the wisdom to stop fighting the current of reality and start working with it.
So you don't surrender the vision.
No.
You surrender the insistence on one single fixed path to get there.
Precisely. Look at Muhammad Ali. The strategy was float like a butterfly. That's the surrender. Non-resistance, using his opponent's energy, moving with the flow, and then sting like a bee, which is the decisive action taken from a place of clarity.
So in business.
It's the entrepreneur who's committed to solving a customer's problem, but when the market feedback screams for a massive pivot, they surrender their attachment to the original business plan immediately. That flexibility, that's power.
The paradox, then, is that surrender gives you massive control. Because you stop wasting energy on the 95% of things you can't win.
And you focus 100% of your energy on the tiny, malleable part of reality you can influence.
Your response, your actions, your internal state.
And the energy you free up from fighting reality becomes the rocket fuel for innovation and real change.
Okay, moving on. We need to talk about the walls of this self-imposed prison. And those are built almost entirely from expectation.
Our sources define expectations as premeditated resentments.
That's a powerful phrase.
It is, because if you predetermine how an event should unfold, you are setting yourself up for resentment the moment it doesn't. Suffering isn't caused by bad things happening. It's caused when things happen differently than you expected.
So we need to draw a crucial distinction here, especially for anyone listening who's focused on high achievement. We aren't saying you shouldn't have high standards.
No, this is critical, the difference between standards and expectations.
Tell us.
Okay, a standard is internal. It's about how you choose to show up, regardless of what's going on around you. Your standard to always do your best work, for example, or to treat everyone with respect. Standards empower you because they are 100% within your control.
And an expectation is external. It's a demand placed on reality.
Correct. Demanding that your best work will be immediately recognized. Demanding that people will treat you with the exact same respect you offered them. Expectations disempower you because they rely on things you can't control. A high standard makes you powerful. A high expectation makes you frustrated.
And once we release those chains, we can access what the sources call emotional detachment, which, to be clear, is not numbness.
Right. Numbness is suppression, which is another form of resistance. Detachment is the ability to feel an emotion fully, but without being controlled by it.
It's that linguistic shift from I am angry to I am experiencing anger.
Yes. You become the objective observer. You treat emotions as information, as temporary visitors, not permanent residents.
And this practice creates that all-important space, the space between stimulus and response.
That's where freedom lives. When a colleague says something triggering, instead of automatically reacting, you pause. In that pause, that's your moment of freedom.
Okay, but what does that pause look like in practice? For someone who is highly reactive, how do they actually create that space?
It's a physical intervention. So the trigger hits. Step one is to just name the emotion without judgment. I'm experiencing defensive anger.
Yeah.
Step two, consciously engage your body. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. That physically disrupts the fight or flight programming.
And step 3?
Step 3 is to just non-judgmentally observe the sensation, the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face. This creates just enough distance to allow you to choose a wise response instead of being pulled into that reactive loop.
And that choice is the core of non-resistance.
Resistance is what turns temporary discomfort into persistent suffering. It feels like you're doing something right. But resistance is actually mental and emotional paralysis disguised as righteous indignation.
You're just wasting time wishing things were different instead of working with how they are.
The ultimate shift is just stopping that mental war against what is, abandoning the why is this happening to me, and embracing the proactive question, how can I best respond to what is happening right now?
When you stop resisting, you free up all this cognitive bandwidth.
Which then becomes available for action, clarity, innovation, and that is the prerequisite for achieving a state of flow.
Flow. The zone, yes.
Yeah.
Our sources confirm flow is the natural state when that resistance disappears. But the biggest block to getting there isn't external noise, it's internal.
It's self-consciousness. It's that internal critic that's monitoring and judging your performance while you're trying to perform. That creates a split between the doer and the observer judging the doer. And that friction, that's what blocks you from full immersion.
And we know flow requires 3 key conditions.
Right. First, the challenge level has to match your skill level. That's sweet spot. Not too easy, not too hard. Second, you need clear goals and immediate feedback. And third, complete concentration. When you stop worrying about the outcome and just immerse yourself in the process, the performance takes care of itself.
Yeah. Okay, so now we get to the deepest layer of detachment, the one that can feel the most, well, radical. Non-identification.
The idea that who you think you are, your history, your roles, your limitations, is just a story.
Right.
And this misidentification with our story is the greatest barrier to freedom. We identify with our ego, the false self, built from roles, successes, failures, thoughts. The ego is fragile. It needs validation. It strives for control because it thinks its very existence is threatened by failure.
But if I stop identifying with my roles, my career, my title, how do I stay motivated to perform those roles brilliantly? I mean, doesn't that start to sound a bit like nihilism?
Not at all. This is the difference between having a role and being the role. Your true self is pure awareness. It's the stable consciousness that experiences the thoughts and emotions and roles, but is untouched by them. The liberation is realizing your personality, your roles, your thoughts are things you have, not things you are.
So you can be brilliant at your job, But if company restructure comes tomorrow, your core being, it isn't threatened.
Exactly. When you operate from pure awareness, you become unshakable. You can play your role with complete dedication, with high standards, but your inner peace is not conditional on that role succeeding or failing. You engage with life from freedom, not from fear.
So after all this, what does this entire strategic deep dive mean for the listener? We've covered everything from traffic anxiety to the nature of identity.
Well, the fundamental takeaway is that true freedom and real sustained power, they don't come from changing your circumstances. They come from transforming your relationship to them. Freedom is wanting what is, embracing reality, and then acting from wisdom, not reaction.
And that transformation must have a profound impact on every single relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Detached love is the only unconditional love. It's caring without clinging. It lets you appreciate people exactly as they are, flaws, and instead of always trying to fix them to fit your definition of comfort.
And all of this power resides right here, right now.
Exclusively in the present moment. The past is just a thought. The future is just possibility. The deepest letting go, the ultimate strategic detachment, is letting go of the compulsive need to be somewhere other than here, sometime other than now.
The sources offer one last really potent image to drive this home. They say that complete freedom is available to you right now. The prison door was never locked.
You were just so busy struggling, straining, trying so desperately to escape.
That you never thought to simply open it and walk out.
So we invite you to consider that, all that immense self-imposed effort. What subtle chain of control will you choose to strategically release today, just to discover the lightness and untapped energy that remains when you finally stop struggling against the flow of reality?